love the matching LA hats.
There you go. We're perfect. So I'm gonna start with the Rams, and whenever Fernando comes back, he's gonna ask you about the Chargers. So Rams pick at number 19, first round pick for the first time since 2016, right? Jared Goff, number 1 pick. I guess I'll start with that. You think they keep the pick, and then if they do, what do they go to replace Aaron Donald? Maybe a Byron Murphy, the second from Texas. Maybe they keep adding to the secondary. Maybe they go offense because Sean McVay hasn't had a first round pick in the LA era. So what do you kind of expect from the Rams there?
Yeah, for the Rams' sake and their fans' sake, I certainly hope they keep the pick. As you just said, they haven't had a first-round pick since Jared Goff in 2016. I actually interviewed Jared Goff last week,
Oh, wow.
and he was even surprised that he was the last Rams first-round pick. So I would expect them to finally break the streak and draft in the first round. And I really do like Murphy. The Rams certainly need a defensive tackle to fill the void left by Aaron Donald. And really, the Rams defense was built around Aaron Donald and his disruptiveness in the interior. And without him, that is a huge void, especially the Rams don't have a lot of productive edge rushers, I should say, because they were all dependent on Aaron Donald and how he was able to create havoc up the middle and the interior. So I do expect the Rams to address that need early on in the draft, and I would not be surprised if they did it as early as round 1. And if I was the GM, if I was Les Snead, I would definitely pick a defensive tackle in round 1.
You know the conversation. People always say it's either like tight end or defensive tackle. You don't draft those guys very high. Well, Aaron Donald was number 13, and it worked out pretty well. So I like that.
I remember the Rams got crapped on when they selected him. People were like, I don't know.
They got Cam Robinson number 2, but that's a different story. But and then I guess if you pair him with Kobe Turner, I like that. That makes a lot of sense to me, especially you got to build that defense because they focus on the secondary and in free agency. You got Cam Curl, Darius Williams, and they got Tre'Davious White. So they seem okay. I think maybe get a little younger doesn't hurt either. But you can rely on a Kobe Durant and guys like that. But how about edge rusher? Like I know you mentioned these guys create a push and they can help you out, but Byron Young was okay. Michael hasn't really worked out. What if you get like a Latu from UCLA, or maybe one of the guys like I don't think Dallas Turner will drop, but maybe like a Jared Verse or Chop Robinson? Do you think that could be another alternate route for them for the Rams?
So I have Dallas Turner being in the top 10. I would not be surprised if we went 8 to Atlanta Falcons. Latu's, that's a huge question mark. To me, he might be in the teens, maybe as early as 13, 14, maybe even 15. If you drop to the Rams, I would like that addition, but that still leaves a massive void in the interior. But it would not be a bad pick. Latu, of course, UCLA product. I love my Bruins. Latu was one of the best players in that team last year. So he would be a good pick for the LA Rams, especially because to me, I get as long as they pick somebody that can rush the passer, whether that's in the interior or on the outside at edge rusher, I think it's a good pick because that's really the weakness of their defense. And it really was the weakness of their defense last year with Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was getting double teamed, sometimes triple teamed, and there was no beneficiary on the Rams defense. And that was a huge, huge problem. And it's really been a problem since the departure of Leonard Floyd and Von Miller from the Rams.
Jorge is asking what's going on with Latu's medical. Do you know anything about that, Tyler?
Yeah, he has an extensive injury history. He was at Washington prior to transferring UCLA, and he has some neck concerns. And really, his football career was deemed to be over. But he got a medical pass from UCLA, and UCLA played him, and he really blossomed on Westwood with the Bruins and created himself into a first-round pick prospect. But his injury concerns, those are real, but that's the thing about the NFL Combine and these 30 for 30 visits. You get with teams' medical staffs, you get with their doctors, and they really examine these players thoroughly. So teams have to be very comfortable with players like Latu, players like Michael Penix Jr., players with extensive injury histories before they draft them. So it's up to them to do their due diligence. But I'm hearing that teams are fine with his previous medical history because he checks out well now.
Real quick, Delbert says, I hope the Rams build a defense as Shula envisions a system. His start of his tenure is key. That's very true. Gilbert, I know I'm supposed to ask Tyler about the Chargers. That's what we had agreed on. That's not what I'm going to be doing. I want to ask about the team before.
All right.
Because Tyler's been poking at me the last time I saw him. We were kind of going back and forth, but we were talking about what the Cardinals are going to do. And I told Tyler, look, I think they're going to trade out. I think somebody's going to make them an offer they can't refuse, and they're going to take it. And he tells me Marvin Harrison Jr. sitting right there. They're not going to pass on him. Tyler, it has been 2 weeks since we last had that conversation. What is your feeling on what the Arizona Cardinals are going to do?
So it's funny, Fernando. I have a friend who covers the Cardinals, and I literally, you and him, I send you guys the exact same text, but I just changed teams. I changed it to Cardinals for him and Chargers for you. I should put you two in a group text. His name is Tyler, too. Tyler Drake, by the way. Shout out to him.
We'll have him on the show one day, talk Cardinals.
Yeah, so he is of the belief that the Cardinals keep the pick.
Okay.
And trade their pick. I think they have the 26th pick, if I'm not mistaken. It's in the 20s. Yeah, it's in the 20s. Yeah. He's of the mindset the Cardinals keep the number 4 pick, and then they trade that pick in the late 20s and their second round or third round pick to move up again in the first round.
To get a quarterback.
Yeah, well, no, not a quarterback. To get somebody on the defensive side of the football, maybe get another address the offensive line some more. Or get, another, edge rusher because the Cardinals need edge rushing help, maybe Latu. So I kind of like his idea because when I look at the Cardinals receiving corps, they're worse than the Chargers. Yeah, they are by far. And there's not many receiving corps worse than the LA Chargers, but the Cardinals, they are. So if you add Marvin Harrison Jr. to that mix, they got something going. They got he's easily their best receiver. They still need maybe a number 2, maybe even number 3 type of wideout, but they have something to work with, something to build on, and somebody for Kyler Murray to throw the football to. So if it were me, I would not trade that pick. I would not trade that pick if I'm the Cardinals. But if they do trade the pick for a quarterback needy team, if I'm Joe Ortiz and the Chargers, I am running to the board to draft Marvin Harrison Jr.
I got an answer for you real quick, Tyler, about the worst receiving corps in the NFL. How about the Patriots? Can they take Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 3?
There you go.
The Patriots are pretty bad too, but I would still rather have their receiving corps over the Cardinals.
All right.
At least you have Juju Smith.
Yeah. If he can still play, I don't know. I'm not even sure. I don't know, but yeah, they're both bad.
Oh, you know what? Jorge has a good one for you. Would Quentin Johnson be the Cardinals' number 1 receiver?
Michael Wilson.
Yeah, I think so. That's how bad it is. Now, Quentin Johnson can catch the ball, but if Quentin Johnson in his role as running shallow routes, maybe some jet sweeps, slants. Those are digs. Those are type of routes that he's comfortable with. The Chargers put him in the Mike Williams role, and that's not his expertise. He can't
at all,
especially as a rookie. He's not a tracker of the football. Now he can develop into that role, but he's the type of receiver that needs to see the ball in his hands. Like you have to throw the ball when he's facing the ball. Exactly. And that's unfortunate for a receiver of his caliber, an NFL receiver, but his rookie year displayed that.
He said it's bad. They're staying and drafting Harrison. Tyler, and then obviously going off of that though, see, this is my question because there's been rumors that have come out that Larry Fitzgerald was not happy with Kyler Murray and all that stuff in the past. Does Marvin Harrison Sr. get on the phone and ask him, Larry, tell me about this kid? Do I want my son down there playing with him? That's my question, because we all know Marvin Harrison Sr. He's a real one. So that's my question. That's why I'm kind of wondering, would Marvin Harrison Sr. and Jr. in the back say, Cardinals, we don't want to play for you guys, but doing it quietly, obviously, and be like, pass on us. We're good. Go do something else. So that's kind of my thing, because I remember Larry and him did not get along, and there's been a lot. Man, Larry's a likable guy. We all know Larry. Mm-hmm. Larry's a guy that gets along with everybody. So that's kind of and then there's also question marks about Kyler's dedication and everything. So I don't know. I just don't see, because we all know Marvin Harrison Sr. played with one of the most ready quarterbacks of all time He knows what it's like to play with a guy like that. So that's kind of where my headspace has been at the last 3 weeks when I wonder what the Cardinals are going to do with that pick. So I don't know. Maybe I'm off.
So he did take a 30 for 30 visit over there.
Yeah.
And he could have turned that down.
Two, right? Chicago and
that we know of. But he could have turned that down. And to me, I get what you're saying. And if I was Marvin Harrison Jr. and especially his dad, I would want to go to the Chargers. You have Justin Herbert and you have a ready-made quarterback and you have Jim Harbaugh, coach who you know from playing at Ohio State, playing against him. But the Cardinals aren't all that bad either. They just don't have a really good roster around Kyler Murray and maybe even a Marvin Harrison Jr. They have their defense is sub-mediocre. They have a very new coaching regime that's still learning the ropes. But it's still a growing franchise, and I do think they're on the up and up. And you look around the Phoenix area, the Tempe area, it's like Marvin Harrison mania over there. They really do want him. So if they put a card in and it's somebody other than him, those fans, they're probably going to boo at their Cardinals draft party because they really want Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, if
it's
they
like
trade
in the movie
down,
Draft
they're even
Day.
going to boo. Yeah.
It's like in the movie Draft Day when the guy was not going to get the quarterback, the Seahawks guy. People are like, "Hey!" with pitchforks and stuff outside of the building. No, I completely understand that. I was just, I mean, and that's kind of my thing because I feel like Marvin Harrison Sr. would do something like that, like where he'd be like, "Hey, I don't know,but no, I completely
listen
understand.
to Marvin Harrison Sr., right? You listen to what he got.
I'm just saying, like, he's a real one for a reason. Like, I've heard some stories, and I'm just saying, like, yeah, you better listen to what he has to say. But
touche.
Yeah, exactly. This is the last one for me. Well, last one for right now, and then Gilbert can go. So okay, let's just say Marvin Harrison Jr. is off the board. What do you think? You are Joe Ortiz. I was gonna say Alt. You're Joe Ortiz and you're Jim Harbaugh. What are you doing if Marvin Harrison Jr. is off the board and it's been 3 quarterbacks? The phone rings. It's Minnesota saying, "Hey, we'll give you 11 and 23, and maybe a first next year, or maybe a second round or something like that." What are you kind of doing right there?
If Minnesota offers 11, 23 and a first next year, I'm probably taking that trade. I'm going to surprise you with that. But it has to be 3 first-round picks.
Wow.
Now,
he said he wants to be blown away by it.
Yeah, you got to be blown away by it because to me, the Chargers, like we just said, they don't really have a number 1 or maybe even number 2 receiver. Josh Palmer, is he a number 2? I think he's a really good number 3. He's a number 2, a decent number 2, but you probably want him at best at.
He's a number 2 when you have a Keenan Allen who can play in the slot and can do what he does. Yes, but
exactly.
No, but in the figuratively, he's a number 3.
Now the thing is, so the question is, Adunze, Neighbors, if they're on the board, or Joe Alt. Those are like 3 players or trade down. Now, I'm almost I'm the Neighbors question. This is gonna surprise you because I was purely on the Neighbors bandwagon a few weeks ago.
He's not on it anymore.
But I'm still on it. But when I look at
he has 1 foot off the car,
the way Neighbors plays, he's a better Quentin Johnston. He runs the same type of routes as Quentin Johnston. He's quicker, more agile, but he's kind of like a slot. Is he a true X receiver? That's what the Chargers need, is an X receiver. Can you put him on the outside and say, okay, run this post, run this curl, run this dig? I'm not sure that's his game yet. Is he a refined route runner? Now, he's one of the most athletic physical freaks in the draft, especially at receiver, but can you refine that and be an exceptional route runner? Because there's a whole bunch of physical athletic freaks in the NFL.
Yeah.
So then Adunze, on the other hand, he's an X receiver, but he doesn't separate at the same level as Neighbors and Harrison. So that's the question where I'm asking, going back and forth. Now, if the Vikings only offer 2 first-round picks, I'm taking probably Neighbors, even though I don't truly believe he's that prototypical X receiver. You might be able to, I'm just banking on the fact that he can blossom into one. And then I'm just praying that my receiving corps works out because I have a quarterback like Justin Herbert. But it's a big if. It's a big if. I would not have traded Keenan Allen to the Bears, to be quite frank. But hey, they don't pay me the big bucks to make the decisions.
Hey, but you're teaching us a thing or two here.
I was gonna say you're describing him a Dunze like a Keenan Allen, like maybe you kind of want.
Well,
that
no,
right?
a Dunze is like a Larry Fitzgerald to me.
Oh wow, okay.
A Dunze is an X receiver, kind of a big body receiver, can bully you, is still fast, still athletic, but he doesn't separate like the other guys and like the Marvin Harrison, like the neighbors in this draft, because he's not as quick and he's like a kind of a bully as a receiver, but he's an athlete too. And so when I saw him at Washington, when I see tape of him, I see a receiver that kind of is like a Larry Fitzgerald, kind of like a Hines Ward, but a better athlete at this point. I won't say better athlete than Larry Fitzgerald, because Larry Fitzgerald was a really good athlete at the start of his career. Yeah. But when I see Neighbors, I kind of see like another Quentin Johnson, but with hands that can catch better.
Doesn't sound as good.
Actually, he's probably, I would say, a Jamar Chase type, because is Jamar Chase a true X receiver? Like, I don't know if he's a true X receiver, but he's the number one option, and he can play on the outside, but he can play on the inside too. And the Bengals make it work because they have Joe Burrow, and their connection is one of the best connections in all football. But that's what the Chargers, I believe that they're missing a true guy on the outside that can go beat you any given Sunday.
So my bad, real quick, Gilbert. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is like Marvin Harrison Sr. Odunze is like Larry Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm.
And then Neighbors is more like a Jamar Chase kind of.
A Jamar Chase. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, okay. Did you think that Odell was a true X? Or was he more of this style? So it's an LSU thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we'll see. Brian Thomas I believe he's an X, but he's only ran like 4 or 5 routes at LSU.
Yeah. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to basically teach these guys how to do all that stuff. Gilbert, sorry, go ahead.
No, this is high praise for his wide receiver. So, like you mentioned, Tyler, it better be a good offer. You're gonna trade back from number 5, 3 first-round picks sounds right. So, say they do trade down to maybe 11 with the Vikings. Like, what do you see at that point? Like, is Brock Bowers, like, people would describe him like a legit number 1 wide receiver, but he plays tight end. Do you like a Brock Bowers? Maybe they go Bowers at 11, and then they get 23. They go get Brian Thomas Jr., like you mentioned. I don't know what the Chargers doing that. That'd be pretty nice. But when you say Larry Fitzgerald comparisons and then Marvin Harrison Sr., that's hard to do. But if they go to 11 with the Vikings, what do you see the Chargers?
He has questions about Brian Thomas. I just saw it in his face now.
So if the Chargers do trade down and go to 11, I'm not doing Brock Bowers. The Chargers, they signed 2 tight ends this offseason. Yeah. This isn't Los Angeles tight ends. You can't just keep on adding to the tight end room. I feel like that they go tackle at 11 if they end up trading down. And then at 23, I would probably go with Mitchell, the receiver out of Texas.
Wow.
And so you would hope that he can turn into your number 1 receiver. To me, he's not as good of a prospect as the other 3 wideouts, but he's probably 4 or 5 along with Brian Thomas.
NFL.com has his comparison as
who? Mitchell?
George Pickens.
Yeah, and see, that's the number 1 option in Pittsburgh. And George Pickens is a good receiver with pretty much nobody throwing him the football for the past few years.
Gilbert, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, Tyler, I'm really, I don't believe this. So I'll just say I'll give you my opinion right here. But do you think you don't believe in this either, because you got Marvin Harrison Jr. going number 4. But I guess for you're talking for people around the league, 4 quarterbacks out the gate, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, JJ McCarthy. Do you see that, or what do you see McCarthy falling? Is it Drake May that slides? Usually one of these guys tends to slide in the draft.
I could see 4 quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, 4. It's never happened in NFL history, but it would not shock me if it did happen. But to me, I feel like the Cardinals are going to keep that pick because when I look at their roster, they have a glaring need at wide receiver. The quarterback that falls to me, man, is JJ McCarthy going in the top 10 falling? I guess you can say that. I just did mock draft today, and I have Michael Penix Jr. going 13 to the Las Vegas Raiders. So that's not far. I have as many as 6 quarterbacks going in the first round, which would tie.
Where'd you have Bo Nix going?
Where did I have Bo Nix going? I think the Broncos. I think I had the Broncos trading up again in the first round, even though they barely have any picks to get the quarterback. And
they got a new quarterback today, by the way.
They do, but
no,
Wilson.
Yeah, I called him the Manhattan MILF Hunter, and now I call him the Miles City High MILF Hunter. So there you go. He's getting So he's gonna go kill it in Denver. I'm pretty sure he's close.
Hey, maybe he can stay in Russell Wilson and Sierra's old house.
There you go.
I don't know if he can afford that damn house. Yeah, I don't know if he can afford that house.
He can't afford it. All right.
No,
okay.
I don't even know if he can afford the pool house in the back. Like
it's a rookie contract still. That's why.
That's true. That's true. It is a rookie contract. He ain't making Russell Wilson type money.
Not yet, though.
Get out of here.
Yeah, not yet. Keep hope alive, Zach Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, when you're looking at the draft, because I expect kind of madness. Like I kind of did a mock draft the other day, and I showed it to Gilbert. I had San Francisco jumping up to 20, not jumping up. They traded Brandon Ayuk to the Steelers for number 20, and they came up and drafted a receiver. Do you think we'll get anything like that? Any massive trades? Anything that you're going to get, like something that you're going to be like, oh my God, like a couple of years ago, we got AJ Green getting traded
Brown
to the Tennessee Titans. I remember Vrabel was pissed. I heard he had to hit the gym that night because he was so angry. But what do you think? Do you think anything like that happens?
Well, Brandon Ayuk is a hot name, but that I would have to call John Lynch a liar because he just said today that the team wants to keep Brandon Ayuk for the long haul for the rest of his career. Now, to keep the theme of this show, I would love if the Chargers said the Vikings, I don't want number 11. I want 23 and Justin Jefferson.
This guy.
Hey, you said something. You said something big. So you don't even have to give me a future first round pick. 23 and Justin Jefferson.
But you just got rid of Keenan, who made and obviously it's completely different. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Keenan and Justin are completely different. Two different sides. Do you think Justin fits in that mold of those guys of Odell? Jamar, like, is he like that? He seems more like a traditional X to me.
Yeah, we'll see. The thing with Justin, he can play in the slot and on the outside. But he's arguably the best receiver in the NFL. Apples and oranges, Tyreek Hill.
I'm sure Herbert would go pick him up at the airport. But I just don't know if they're gonna, like, in a sense, kind of blow their whole cap, not their whole cap, but like what they have remaining on them. I mean, hell, I think Justin and Justin. I mean, that the publicity sells itself when it comes to those two guys. And then on top of that, Jim Harbaugh, like, I mean, that's killer. But I just don't know.
You said something that blows you away. Didn't I just say something that blows you away?
Doesn't believe it.
Yeah, my bad. I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, that's actually pretty interesting right there.
Mm-hmm. And hey, I think it fits for both sides. If the Vikings, you get to keep some of your draft capital. And you're starting over essentially if you're the Vikings, and you're starting. You already have Jordan Addison at receiver, and you can probably build through another receiver maybe next year's draft or later in the second round because this is a deep draft class, and the Chargers get what they want. I need more superstars here in LA. So when I go to Rams and Chargers games, it's more interesting.
This year the Rams have a better schedule, like a better home schedule. Like last year, the Chargers had the really good home schedule where a lot of really good teams came in and fun teams. Now this year, it's the Rams that have the fun schedule coming in and all that. So, but my bad. Go ahead, Gilbert.
Tyler, you mentioned, John Lynch saying they're going to keep Brandon Ayuk, but I wonder how they're going to make it all work. Obviously, you can move around money, salary cap doesn't really matter. But you think maybe they traded Deebo Samuel to make Ayuk the number one feature? Because I feel like he gets hurt a lot. It's hard to give him the ball, but I get that him being so versatile and explosive separates his offense from everybody else, and it gives Kyle Shanahan more pieces to work with, all the creativity, all that. But to me, I feel like Ayuk is better. What's going on with Deebo? You feel like could it be an option?
So it depends how you define better, because Deebo, he's better at getting yak yards. And when you can line up Deebo anywhere in the football field, you can even hand him the football and he could be an explosive playmaker. In a pinch, you can probably have Deebo as a punt returner if you really need So it depends. Like Deebo can do more. Now, as a pure receiver, as a pure route runner, if you're telling me, go beat this cornerback one-on-one, we need 10 yards. Ayuk is better at that. Correct. But more valuable to the 49ers and the heart and soul probably the 49ers offense is probably Deebo. Now, if I'm the 49ers, I try to massage Brandon Ayuk for this season and hope he, stays on the straight and narrow and be cool. I did stop. I mean, come on, Fernando. You know what I mean.
I don't
massage his ego.
We're not thinking about Cleveland for some reason.
Yeah. Your mind's going way elsewhere. Now, what is this? This is Friday?
Deebo. Exactly.
You don't trade Deebo again.
Wow. That's my favorite movie, by the way. So
that's one of the greatest movies ever. I love that movie.
Nice. So, yeah, I try to tell Brandon Ayuk, we're not going to pay you this year, but next year we're going to take care of you. And the 49ers, they have a lot of decisions to make, not this season, but next season. Brock Purdy, they got Fred Warner coming up. They got a lot of really good players that they either need to pay, need to cut, and do something with. So this season needs to be their figure out, okay, we're going to go for broke here. And try to win a Super Bowl. And the next year, we're going to try to figure it out. We got to get in the war room, our brass, and figure out which players are essential to our success. We already know we got to probably keep Brock Purdy, and we got to pay him. So are we going to pay 2 receivers? We've proven last year and years before that paying 2 receivers is probably not a winning formula. The Bengals are finding out the hard way right now because T. Higgins is disgruntled, and next year he's going to be out the door probably for free.
I got one for you.
Go ahead.
I would trade T. Higgins for a top 10 pick to one of those teams for a top 10 pick and draft Romeo Odunze for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Is T. Higgins worth a top 10 pick? You got him in the second round.
Oh, no, my bad. Okay, my bad. I'll trade my pick, my first round draft pick with him, and I would try and move up in the draft. And maybe trade some other picks, whatever. I would just try and get in that top 10, and I would get Romeo Odunze. He's cheaper. He, like you said, he's an X. He's a guy that could do some stuff. And, I mean, T. Higgins, you're not going to pay him. Let's be honest. You haven't even paid Jamar Chase. No. They haven't paid him yet.
They are going to pay him, but they haven't.
Exactly. They haven't paid him yet. So I would just get T. Higgins out of here. Like I would be like, all right, T. Higgins, it's been real, but screw you, Gilbert, for putting that one on.
And you would ask for a top 10 pick for T. Higgins?
Not for T. Higgins, just T. Higgins, but another first round draft pick, and then possibly like a 2 next year or whatever. And I try and jump on there and get like the 10th pick or the 9th pick or something like that. So yeah, I would do something like that. You get a young receiver for cheap while you're paying Jamar Chase. And then once Jamar Chase, you see what you have in the next 4 or 5 years, however long you have control of them. Because I've seen a lot of teams start doing that 3-year deal now where they extend them for 3 years or for 3 years or whatever. So I mean, why are you gonna, like you said, why are you gonna let him walk for free? Why don't you get something out of him? Somebody like New England, well, New England's not going to give up the 3rd overall pick for T. Higgins, but I mean, like some team is going to be like, you know what? Why not do it? So we need receiver. The Giants, hell, they need a receiver. Why? Well, and
I need a quarterback too.
Well, man, yeah. I remember when you got all that hate, Gilbert, and you predicted that he was going to make $40 million a year, and people got pissed at you. and they said, "What do you know?" But yeah, my bad. But I don't know what that's kind of my wow or something like that. But I agree with Gilbert also on the sense of Deebo Samuel. That's another thing that you need to see because Deebo's always getting hurt towards the end of the year, and he's always missing games. I know his style is kind of like he plays like a pinball. So I'm just wondering what's going to happen there. Nancy's laughing at the Broncos trading for Zach Wilson. That's funny. Yeah, I know. I'm sure you're not the only one, Nancy, that's laughing at that. But
hilarious.
But I don't know. That's just mine. I don't know.
I mean, that's
I didn't blow. I didn't blow.
Nobody likes it.
That one. Yeah.
But I mean, that's a good one. I'm hearing the Bengals really like Brock Bowers, and they like J.C. Latham. But I'm not sure that they're going to fall to, I believe, the Bengals draft 19.
Do you think the Broncos? Do you think he makes it past the Jets?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think either of them make it to where the Bengals pick, which is 19, I believe.
Yeah, but that's why I was saying you package up 19 with T. Higgins, and then you try and jump up to the top 10.
No, that's giving up too much because T. Higgins might be more productive this season than any of those players. So Dunze or especially Brock Bowers. Now, maybe a Dunze. I mean, maybe you're trading for the future, but yeah, I don't think so because you can still get a receiver, a pretty good receiver at number 18 where the Bengals are at.
All right, Tyler, I got one more question and we'll get you out of here. We appreciate the time. But, I'm curious about the number 2 quarterback debate. Obviously, Caleb Williams out of USC is number 1. A lot of love for Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner from LSU. To me, I will bet on the elite traits that Drake May has. He hasn't put it together in college football, but Josh Allen, Herbert, guys like that, they figure it out after a while. Who's number 2 quarterback for you right now?
Jaden Daniels is pretty much not close. I don't even have Drake May in my top 3.
Really?
I have Michael Penix at 3, and then Drake May, and then J.J. McCarthy. Now, I think Drake May, yes, he has the physical traits. A lot of people say he's kind of like a Josh Allen or Justin Herbert, but he had a lot of turnovers. I think his feet work aren't all that polished yet. And then when I look at him, I feel like him in the nation's capital, you already just let go of a UNC quarterback who's really good friends with him. And they need a whole new fresh start. And then especially when I look at how the offense is going to run, Cliff Kingsbury is the OC. You have Jaden Daniels, who's a mobile type quarterback, can play similar styles as Kyler Murray. I really do like him with the Washington Commanders. So I do think he's going to be a number 2 overall pick.
What have you made of the noise of everything that's been going on with that? Supposedly he didn't like because I saw that supposedly they had a speed date like lined up where they brought in like 20 prospects. They took them out to Top Golf, to dinner, all that crap. They wined and dined them. But what did you make? Like, do you feel like that noise is legit or no?
This is a whole lot of smoke because the Raiders want Jaden Daniels. I can tell you that right now. Antonio Pierce recruited Jaden Daniels to Arizona State, and the Raiders would love to draft him. They know they can't probably get up to 2. They probably can't get up to 3. They might be able to get in the top 5, maybe, but they want Jaden Daniels. And it's pretty much not a secret. They've told a lot of people behind closed doors. However, it's likely not going to happen because they're sitting there at 13 and they don't have the ammunition to get up to inside that top 3. But that's pretty much where it's coming from.
Last one for me, and then we'll let you go. Dak Prescott. What do you think happens with the Cowboys? I have to ask you a Cowboys question before you leave. They have to pay Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons was taking body shots with a damn boxer the other day. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, how are you doing that? I don't know if you saw that video, Tyler.
I did not see the video, but it sounds like Micah Parsons.
Yeah. So you have Micah Parsons, you have CeeDee Lamb, you have those guys. Like, I guess my question is, what do you think ends up happening with those guys? And Tyler, just to show you, I am a great friend. I have the video pulled up for you. This is what happened right here. Look at this. Watch this. Oh, I don't want to get copyrighted. Look at this. Oof.
What if he broke a rib right there?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that guy was not phased. That never judge a book by its cover, folks. Look, Micah punches him. The guy's like, okay, whatever. This guy. Then the little guy just goes bang, and look at Micah. Micah was not ready for that. So, but yeah, I think that's idiotic that he did that. But whatever. I'm not the GM of. Well, nobody's a GM of the Cowboys except for Jerry Jones. But what do you think happens there? Do you think they let Dak walk? Do they sign the other the young kids? What do you make of that?
This is a very tough question because the Cowboys have put themselves in a very peculiar predicament because Dak Prescott, if you sign him right now, give him an extension, he actually won't count against your salary cap as much as he counts right now. Right now, he absorbs like over 60 million or something. Now, I believe once it's all said and done, the Cowboys extend Dak probably next year. It's not going to happen this year, though. And somebody's going to have to take a team-friendly deal, whether it's CD or Micah Parsons. They're going to be – I know. The salary cap's going to go up next year, so that's a positive news for the Cowboys' sake. But somebody's going to have to take a team-friendly deal. And it may be Dak. It may be Dak because sometimes quarterbacks do it. Patrick Mahomes has a team-friendly deal, even though it doesn't look like it on paper when you see that $500 million. But
he just re-ups every 2 years. That's what I was telling Gilbert. That's the way they're going to play it. They're just going to re-up him every 2 years.
Yeah, and I mean, so when I do think he stays in Dallas because they don't have an insurance plan. I mean, Lynch. I mean.
No, they have a former number 3 overall pick.
Come on, man. Come on. I mean, unless Trey Lance improves dramatically and surprises us all, I just don't see it happening. To me, they have to take care of their 3 players because if you don't take care of the 3 of them, the Cowboys, they're going to be rebuilding because those are their 3 pillars. And easily their 3 most indispensable players when you look at their entire roster. You can't lose Micah Parsons because then your defense probably goes to below average. And if you don't have Dak, who's throwing the football? And Micah Parsons is clearly your number 1 receiver because you just lost your number 2.
You fire Mike McCarthy. You draft Shedeur Sanders.
All right, let's get out of here.
Deion Sanders as the head coach next year.
Hey, I would love that. That'll create headlines.
You see that?
I would love that. That would create headlines. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, but I would love that.